Marcia Week Show, and we're coming to you live from Barbados. Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, welcome. This is the Marcia Week Show, and we are coming to you live from Barbados. It's a wonderful, beautiful day in Barbados. Beautiful breeze. We had some lovely rain this morning, and the place is nice and cool, and it's beautiful. Really, really beautiful. And we have a great show lined up for you. But before we go into the show, I just want to thank the Barbados Concerned Citizens for this award that was given to me on Sunday. Really a big surprise, a huge surprise on Sunday. And it is so, it says here, I'm going to read it. Courage and love for humanity, motivating and inspiring others, and lioness and a voice for the people. And as I said on my page, that I have received lots of different awards, so you can get a quick look at it. But this one means a lot to me because it's coming from the people, and what I do is from my heart. The other things of my film and so on, you know, you do it; it's business. But this is nothing to do with that. This is from my heart. This is me getting up every day and deciding every Wednesday and Saturday without pay that I am going to be a voice. And I started out by helping someone. This is historian Trevor Marshall, who felt that he was being censored by our only television station. And I said to him, listen, I have 5,000 people on my page. Come on my personal page. He said, really? I said, come and say what you want to say. And the rest is history. So I want to thank everybody for your support. And listen, we are all doing this. We're all leaders in our own right. And this is what we're doing. We love the people. We love the Caribbean. And we want to be a voice to those that don't have a voice. If you're just joining me, I'm going to ask you to share. Thank you, Christian Weatherford is saying good afternoon. First Lady, thank you. Token said congrats, you earned it. Good afternoon. Joel King from Barbados, congratulations, you're deserving of it. Damian Preston says, that's why I miss you, Damian. You are in Facebook jail. I'm telling you, I'm in YouTube jail right now, and I'm gonna need you all to share, and let somebody know that that we're on. Barbados Concerned Citizens, that is Lumumba, headed by Lumumba, Watson, and Bongolites, and many others, Pam, and a lot of the others. It's just regular people that came together to say thank you for being a voice. So that's the Barbados Concerned Citizens. I want to thank Lumumba, Watson, Bongolites, and all the entire team. Pam, I don't know her last name, but thank you to everybody who supported and who's been inspired by what we're doing. I have an amazing guest for us today. And so I'm going to ask you to share. You know what has happened with me on Facebook and social media? We don't have the best relationships. So they limit who sees what I do. So I'm going to ask everybody on here to help me. The last time this man was on my program, That's the last show I had on YouTube. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to help me because I believe this is one of our leaders here in the Caribbean. This man, this is somebody with heart and passion and a love for the Caribbean and who's actually doing something for the Caribbean people. We have a lot of leaders that we have elected, and these leaders are operating based on what they're being told by people outside of their countries. They're puppets, and we're looking for strong leaders. And I have with me Mr. Umar Abdullah, and I want him to be talking to a lot of people. I want to welcome those who are watching on Carib Vision. Carib Vision has, been with me almost 2 years. Thank you, Carib Vision. 16 different Caribbean countries. Thank you for those who reach out to let me know that they're watching the program. And today is going to be a very special program because my guest is going to be speaking to us about what is happening in Trinidad, and is going to speak to the Caribbean. And this is just in an atmosphere of love, where they're pushing discrimination and they're pushing hate and they're pushing intolerance. We're pushing love. That's what we're pushing. All right. So I just want you to share. Roderick Jones, welcome. Welcome, Mr. Jones. I saw all your good wishes on my show. I'm so happy Damien Preston is out of Facebook jail. All right. Guys, please share. I'm going to ask everybody, even if you could share this 10 times. All right. And let people come on, because all of my people, they don't even know when I'm on. There's a lot of blocking that's happening. All right. And later on in the show, you're going to hear from the Honorable Senator Israel Bruce from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because we're going to hear what's happening over there with that leader and what he's doing to the people over there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And then to top off the end of the program, we're going to talk about living off the grid, because we're preparing, right? We're talking about communications and how can we communicate off the grid. Did y'all know that you can have Wi-Fi outside of cable and wireless? I didn't know that. So we're gonna learn all about that today. So please share. So with me, without any further ado, this is the founder of the First Wave movement out of Trinidad and Tobago. And I am so honored that he's with us, Mr. Umar Abdullah. And it's always a pleasure to have you here, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure for me too as well. I want to say greetings to all your viewership, all your supporters, all your fans. And I also want to congratulate you on that award that you just received.
Yes, thank you so very much. Thank you so much. You know how it is. People like yourself, we're taking up this leadership role in speaking out, because we see how oppressed people are, and we see the tyranny, and we see all that's happening to our fellow citizens, and we're standing up. And I'm so proud of what you're doing in Trinidad. I get a lot of life and strength from reading about you when I get your WhatsApp messages, because I'm part of that group, and I get the WhatsApp messages, and I'm like, yes, go for it. So can you tell us what's happening in Trinidad with the first wave movement, and also with the safe zones? Because Trinidad, if I remember correctly, you were the second Caribbean country for where they instituted the safe zone. So what has been happening in Trinidad with that?
Well, a lot has been happening. A lot of red flags have been raised. A lot of, I wouldn't say surprises, but what we are seeing is very, very troubling to us.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been on the ground constantly, interacting with the persons who are actually affected by these mandates, by
Mm-hmm.
these lockdowns and the so-called safe zone, which I would call danger zones.
Mm-hmm.
In my view, they are not safe zones.
Mm-hmm.
They are actually there, and businesses, as I've said, participating in their own demise by participating in this atrocity, this
Mm-hmm.
segregation, and this apartheid. And we are continuing with our efforts. Every Sunday around the savannah, you can see us there, walking and praying for this nation, walking and praying for our leaders, even though they're doing us a lot of harm. We're praying for them for Almighty God to open up their hearts and to understand what they're doing is wrong. It's very difficult on the people, and they are creating a society and environment that it's very, very hostile for everyone to continue living.
Mhm.
And we are focusing a lot of attention on those persons who are being affected in the workplaces. Just this morning, I've been on the phone with a number of those companies, trying to bring some understanding to the management so that they would discontinue in what it is they have started,
Mhm.
meaning, forcing and coercing their workers to take the injections, and also they're even forcing and coercing their workers to take these PCR tests and the antigen tests on a regular basis and having to pay for it as well.
Hmm.
So we have cited on many occasions the Usher Act of our country, Section 37, which clearly states and indicates that the companies who insist that um, workers do need to take any examination, any test of medical test or what have you, that has to be borne by the company, not the workers. And they are, in fact, forcing the workers to do this. We did, intervene in a matter quite recently with the Hyatt Regency Hotel here in Trinidad,
Mhm.
who would have insisted that their workers take these PCR tests and pay for it. After speaking with HR, they issued a press release indicating that they are no longer requiring their workers to take these PCR tests.
Wow.
Obviously, they would have had to pay for it themselves if they had to continue, and I don't think the company was willing to bear that
So,
expense.
Mr. Abdullah, let's, because you see, you guys are a little ahead of us. So yours, and we want to make sure that we understand. And we have people watching from Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines who, they have a very serious situation happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and also in Barbados. And they're getting ready for Jamaica. They're preparing. So you're saying that in Trinidad, that through your organization, that you have asked the companies to pay for these tests and hit
Yeah,
and
to reconsider their position. Yeah, reconsider their position as regards to.
reconsider their
Yeah,
positions,
yeah.
or and so Hyatt Hotel, you're saying that they've rescinded that order.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
That they originally had, and a number of other companies as well. We are, in fact, I just came off the phone just this morning with the Cardiovascular Agency Association here in Trinidad, and I've spoken with them regarding that matter as well. I was told by the manager to send a copy of the USH Act and to highlight that section 37, which I did. I also spoke as well to the fracture and orthopedic clinic as well, indicating to them the same. They're insisting that their workers take two PCR tests per month, the first and the 15th of every month,
Mhm.
and that is, definitely it's unconscionable. It's immoral. It's wrong. These workers, PCR tests would cost anywhere between 900 and 1,200 TT dollars, and that's practically the entire salary of these workers.
So
And
let me ask you, Mr. Because I want to get the details here, because the purpose of this program is to help the other Caribbean islands. And so, are you working with a legal team, because you're quoting sections of the law, and you seem to be, to understand what is happening, legally. So do you have a legal team that you're working with?
yes, yes, we have consulted on many occasions with our attorneys. We do have attorneys that are on board with us, and they're advising us as we move along and encouraging us as well. We've also aligned ourselves closely with some of the trade union movements, and they
Ah.
also are giving us, a lot of meat, a lot of information that we can, continue to engage workers and companies with this information as we move along. For some reason, the trade union movement, they're not as boisterous and active as I'd hoped for them to be, especially around this time, where so much workers are being affected and so much workers, their They've been told they've been sent home without pay. They've been sent home without remunerations. They're being fired on practically on the spot. We have situations like that continuing to happen in Trinidad and Tobago every single day.
Mm, wow. I'm hoping that those from St. Vincent and the Grenadines that they're listening. I saw my friend Anicia Baptiste from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who is at the front line in this battle there. And she was saying that up to just before I went on air, that there was a gentleman, she was being fired because he refused to be jabbed. And so we're hoping that people are understanding what's happening in Trinidad and to recognize that we do need legal help. And so, and Mr. Abdullah is saying that he's getting some breakthroughs in Trinidad where for example, the Hyatt Hotel is rescinding that order. They're taking that back and are not asking the people to do the PCR test. So what I'm saying, this whole show is about resisting, Mr. Abdullah. And sometimes when people hear the word resist, they think that we're going to be in the streets with bottles, and burning tires, and we're going to. I'm Jamaican, so resist me, burn tires, and you burn down the building, and no. But look at this gentleman, as peaceful as possible, as ever, and he's sitting here and he's telling us about this fight that he's taking to the people, for the taking up on behalf of the people to against the establishment, against the government, and there's no violence involved.
No,
there,
there
we,
isn't.
no, we are
As a
resisting.
matter of fact, we have constantly cautioned our members not to and never engage with the police. Stay away from violent actions and to try and be disciplined at every given point in time. Because one of our actions, and you would see, we actually hold the flag and we bear that flag wherever we go sometimes. And that flag represents discipline, production, and tolerance. And we can't hold that flag in our hands if we are indisciplined people. So we have to continue to be disciplined in our approach and, to abide with the police instructions, at every given point in time. Sometimes, people would say we defy the regulations and we go outside there. Yes, we do. But when we engage with the police, it's a different engagement. It's an
Right.
engagement of understanding, of tolerance, and, having that basic understanding of what our rights are and how are those rights being violated and how right to movement being violated. Police understands this. They too are citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. They too are also affected by this rhetoric and
Hmm.
this position that government has taken. And even their police officers, a large number of police officers in our police force in Trinidad has opted not to take the injection. So,
Mm,
so they understand. And we don't want to make the job difficult for the police. We do admire the stance that they do take when they do come out and they address us and so on. If it is we are doing anything wrong, we try our best to
right.
correct it and, to come in line. And, if the police, so wishes and they make an arrest or two, we have advised our members don't resist those arrests. Go peacefully, go quietly, and
Hmm.
everything is going to blow over. It's not the end of the world. It's a great fight that we involve in. It's a battle, a uphill battle on a slippery slope, and we need all hands on deck. We need everybody, the support of everyone. And this is, like I've said many times before, this is an intelligent war, and we need to fight it on an intelligent front. And there's no need for violence. There's no need for indiscipline.
Hmm. And so for those of you who are just joining, this is Mr. Umar Abdullah from the First Wave Movement in Trinidad and Tobago, and you're watching the Marcia Week Show. We're coming to you live from Barbados, live on Carib Vision. into 16 different Caribbean countries. We are also live on Facebook and on YouTube. And so we are talking here about these safe zones in Trinidad and Tobago and discussing how the first wave movement, through the help of Mr. Umar Abdullah and his team, how they are resisting that and resisting those danger zones, he calls them, in a peaceful way. And you have
Yeah.
talked about legal assistance. You've talked about working with the trade unions, who we're finding not just in Trinidad that they're not, they don't have the kind of teeth that they normally have and the bark that they normally have, and we are wondering why. What's happening, trade unionists?
Well, the trade unions have, they've stood up for far less in the past. And if you look back in the 1970s when we had the Black Power movement here in Trinidad, and there was this fight, the trade unions had this major fight for the rights of workers in the workplace, and fair pay for a job done, and so on. Now we're not just seeing that salaries are affected and the rights of workers are being affected. Workers are actually being sent home. So this
Mhm,
is far a greater necessity in terms of calling to the trade unions and having them come out and respond to this atrocity that is taking place on workers in Trinidad and Tobago and throughout the region. And it's very, very sad to sit where I am and look at these powerful trade union movements in our country have little or nothing to say regarding the matter. They have been, however, on different platforms, Zoom platforms, where we had discussed the matter. I would attest to that. They did voice their opinion very strongly in those Zoom meetings and so on.
mhm,
But those strongly voiced opinions have never been translated into action,
mhm.
have never been translated into foot movements.
Right.
And what we are saying is that, right now in Trinidad and Tobago, if there was ever a need for any organization, any entity to stand for workers in this country, it would be now.
Yes, and that is what we want to go right across the Caribbean, right across to speak to the trade unionists and say this is a time for you to stand for the workers. And we're happy to hear the good reports about Hyatt Hotel. I stayed at the Hyatt Hotel, a beautiful hotel there in Trinidad and Tobago, and they have rescinded that order where they were asking their employees to take the PCR test. Was it, I think, twice a month or once a month? And we thank God for that has happened, and for all the companies that are, there's a change of mind and a change of
Mm.
heart, and so we have to continue to resist. Do not accept it. Resist.
Well,
Now,
what's
yes.
what's what's also alarming, I want to make that point. For some strange reason, some of the companies are not asking those who would have gotten the jobs to take
Mm-hmm,
those PCR tests. And we've seen globally where these jobs have failed. The vaccine, according to them, has failed terribly across the globe. And, we know for a fact now, and we have the science to back it up, that those persons who would have taken the jobs are, in fact, are carrying the COVID-19, and they are subject to spreading the COVID-19 as well. And why wouldn't you want to have those who have taken the injection also subject themselves to the PCR test and the antigen test?
mm-hmm,
It's strange that that's not happening. And another point I want to make, and this is to all the persons who would have gotten the injections, your government would have betrayed you. They would have betrayed you big time, because when they asked you to take this injection, they never told you that you would not get sick. They never told you that you would die. They never told you that you would be subjected to taking a third jab. And if it is you don't take that third jab, you will be considered unvaccinated. You never signed up for all of that. So what I'm saying to you all, as much as the persons who have not gotten those injections, have the right to stand up against this fascist move, this totalitarian move by our government,
Mhm.
subject our citizens to hardship, cause them, undue pain and suffering. And we need to stand up all as a people, including those persons who have taken the injection, because you are being betrayed by your own government.
Mhm. Correct. I said to my husband this morning that we are boasting that Trinidad is a republic, Guyana is a republic, Barbados is supposed to becoming a republic, although we don't even know what that is supposed to look like in another 11, 12 days. But really, our leaders are behaving as though we are colonies. Because whatever these persons over, whatever the CDC says, the WHO, Biden says, Charles Schwab, all of them, whatever they say is what we are doing here. It's almost like we're not sovereign anymore. That we don't have sovereign countries anymore. I can't believe I've lived to see this day, Mr. Abdullah, where our leaders are refusing to govern their own countries. The only leader in the Caribbean that stood up to this was the leader of Haiti, was the president of Haiti, the only Caribbean leader. And this is what tells us that something is wrong. Our leaders, as you said, they have failed, totally failed the people. I have on the screen here about another success of yours in Trinidad, the unvaxxed allowed back into the CC program. Can you tell us about that?
Well, we were approached by the students of this program, the trainees of this program. They told us that they were having some difficulty. Their stipends that they usually receive was cut in October, and they were being locked out of the program because they refused to take the injections. These trainees would have already been 7 months into the training program, and they would have developed a sense of hope, a sense of satisfaction that they were actually achieving something and creating something of themselves. So to be better citizens and to add to the complement of our country, and to also be very much involved in the framework of forming of our policies and all of that in our country. And they were feeling good about themselves 7 months into the program. And then they were told that they can't no longer participate because they did not take the job. Now, this program, mind you, this program was specific to those youths who would have fell through the cracks, those disadvantaged youths in our communities. And it had attempted to reach out to these youths. It was once under the Ministry of National Security. They moved it to the Ministry of Youth and Development and General Services. So, but the security agencies are still very much part of the program. And
Mhm.
what they have done initially, at the beginning, it was just the Trinidad and Tobago regiment that was involved, but they have sought to include also the Air
Mhm.
Guard, the Coast Guard, and all the other military,
Mhm.
agencies in the country, so that they would get that sense of that cultural flavor as it
Mhm.
relates to these different military, establishments and so on, the discipline and the different approaches to life and application
Right.
to life and so on and so forth. And so I told them, I said, this is in fact, defeating the very purpose for which this organization was formed. If it is, you do this because if you put those children back on the streets, where are they going to end up? What's going to become
Right.
of them? What's going to become of their future? These children are aspiring to become young, going into the adult world, becoming parents, becoming father figures. Their brothers, probably perhaps their other family members are looking on to them as mentors in the family. They're getting some sense of strength and direction from them because of the path that they've chosen. And now they're being thrown back on the streets. What do you
Mhm.
expect is going to happen? Where are they going to end up? And I
Mhm.
and I was talking to one of the military officers in the establishment, And I told him, I said, I'm sure, I'm pretty much sure you would have seen in these kids some level of promise of some of these young persons developing into someone who would make our country proud. I am sure
Right.
you would have seen that. And now you yourself are seeing this very same individual being thrown out on the streets. How does that make you
Mm.
feel? This is something we can't allow to happen in this country. All right. Segregation, this apartheid, this medical apartheid is worse than racial apartheid. I want everybody to understand that it's worse than racial apartheid. The racial apartheid is directed to one particular race.
Mm-hmm.
This medical apartheid is directed to every single race, every
Yes.
single culture, every single religion, every single person who refuses to take this injection. And this we cannot allow to continue to happen in our countries, in the region. This region of ours stands as a beacon of light for the rest of the world. And I urge the Caribbean leaders to consider that and understand their position and understand their roles and function in this region. It's not just to lead your people, but it's also to lead this region together as one.
Hmm. I hear your heart, and I'm Jamaican living in Barbados. I consider myself a Caribbean citizen. And I weep over, literally before the show. I sat here and tears came to my eyes thinking about what's happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and those people are under such the measures are so harsh. And what was about to happen in Barbados, would you, I don't know if you're aware, sir, but if our doctors hadn't come out and said absolutely not, we cannot follow what the government wants. What they were planning to do in Barbados is that they were planning that if you were unvaccinated, you could not go to the only hospital. We have one public hospital really in Barbados, the QEH. We couldn't go there to get medical care, and anywhere really for medical care. And the first phase of the safe zone was at those medical facilities, had to do with doctors and nurses. And we're thinking, what is happening? I mean, how does a leader sit down and come up with these kinds of things? What would happen to the people of this country? And I'm listening to you and hearing the cry and this call to our leaders that is so full of passion. And what can you say to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Mr. Abdullah?
Um, what I can say to them is that there is a right way and there's a wrong way to approach every issue, every problem that exists. And you all understand more the culture of your people and what your people will gravitate to, what they would be attracted to, and how they would respond and how they should respond, as a matter of fact. And you understand your leaders as well. So what I would suggest is to, try every approach from a diplomatic standpoint, from a diplomatic position, to engage the agencies that are pushing these agendas and try to see if you can get some common ground that you could agree upon and where you can move forward and start from afresh. I think this is necessary. We have been doing that in Trinidad and Tobago, and we're trying to find that common ground amongst all the citizens of this country. We've been seeing, a lot of different groups doing a lot of different things, and we're trying to support the other groups as well because it all boils down to one thing. It's about fairness and justice. It's about equality. It's about the government doing the right thing for its
Mhm.
people. And if we get through to one thing, and if we fix one area, I think that will be an opening to fix everything else. All right. So we have to use a multi-pronged approach. You all need all hands on deck, and please do not go down the path of violence and discipline. Do not do that. All right. It's not going to get you nowhere. It's going to change the conversation. It's
Mhm.
going to change the narrative, and it's going to defeat the purpose and defeat the objective because everybody else will be talking now about the arrest, Everybody's going to be talking about the violence, like what we see also happen with the prime minister when he was struck on his head and so on. That was the talking point. Everybody started talking about that. Nobody was talking about the actual atrocity that was taking place on the people in that country, in that island. All
Mhm.
right, and very recently we would have had a session before, a sort of a stance that we took in front of the parliament when they went back, when to discuss the PSC. All right, that's the Police Service Commission and the installment of those board members and so on. And we would have went there to take a stand, to raise the issue again, how important it was for Blissy Prasad to come forward and tell the
Mhm.
country why it is you would have sent forward names on that day and pull back those names on the very same day without consultation with the board. Who would have encouraged you to do that? Who would have influenced you to do that? We need to get those answers. And even though you would fix the position at the PSC level, you would install a commissioner of police. We would forever be staying with with this with this act that took place in our country. And unless Visi Prasad does not come out and clear the air, and the president, we will forever be left in this dungeon that has that has imprisoned us. You understand? So, moving forward, when we got there, there were persons with placards and so on. And the police came by. They told us to remove the placards. I encouraged the rest of the members to do so. And but they were adamant. They wanted to bring it back out. It was not our group. It was another group that I went to support. And the police started. They started to engage the police. And I told them, I said, look, listen, do not engage the police. If you engage the police and the police makes an arrest, that's what's going to be reported in the news. That's going to be the talking point.
Mhm.
What they're going to say, it's not what we came here for.
Mhm.
Let us seize the opportunity to speak to the press. Let us speak to the reporters that is here. Explain to them why we're here, why our presence, and so on and so forth. That is going to make the news. We're going to hold to our objective. If we only do what you all are continuing to do, it's going to defeat the very purpose. So, we continue to press on that issue of you know persons. Just hold one sec.
Yes, and as we're waiting for him to come back on, let me just let everybody know this is Mr. Umar
No.
Abdullah from the First Wave movement, and we want to welcome all those from TNT who are on. Ayana Sylvester, Ancestors Reigning. I know that's not your right name; that's your social media name. There's Sawi Media. Who's always on and always pushing for us. Sean Mendez, and everybody who's on, and tech services, that's on and there. I mean, these comments are so wonderful that I'm reading here, and you're part of the show, and we're putting up some of your comments as we're talking. So back to you, Mr. Abdullah.
Yeah, so the people in the other islands, that's my advice. Keep making your presence known in out there. Don't stay indoors. That's not the place for you. You need to come out. You need to engage the businesses, the companies. You need to engage and have a conversation with the workers. You need to meet the people where they are. That's what you
Yes.
need to do. And the media is going to cover it. Sometimes they wouldn't, but make your best effort. Invite the media. Let them know what you're about. Let them come. All right, they are going to cover it. All right, we're having the same issues here in Trinidad. We've been locked out the mainstream media. We're using social media. We're streaming live wherever we go. But we are inviting the media. We are inviting the media wherever we go, and whatever we attempt to do, we are inviting the media, and we are engaging with the media in that particular instance. And sometimes they would misreport and then say things that is not correct, like they would always class us as the anti-vax, anti-vaxxers and all of that. Um, hey, that's okay. That's okay. All right. At the end of the day, we are going to succeed. We are going to be successful. All right.
Mhm.
We're going to push back this mandate. We're going to push back this narrative. All right. Government is not going to be able to survive this. All right. The
Correct.
businesses are not able to survive this. Companies are not going to be able to survive this. And I tell them that. Whatever you're doing, you're participating in your own demise. All
Yes.
right. Those persons who have gone take the injections. We're not against you. You did that on your own free will. There are a lot of you who are ending up sick. Your
Mhm,
loved ones are dying as a result. We are there for you. We are
mhm,
offering that support. Come to us. We have an open door policy. We're
mhm,
not against anyone. We are not encouraging segregation. All right. As a matter of fact, anyone in my group, right, there's any sense of segregation, there's any sense of indiscipline coming out of that individual, we pull that person aside and we correct them. We speak
mhm.
to them and we let them know this is not what we are about. All
Yes.
right.
Yes, yes,
And
wonderful. And I want to know, and this is so great. And I'm making notes of all the things that you are, all the strategies that you have employed in Trinidad. You have legal counsel to make sure that you understand the law and you're arguing based on the law. You're presenting the
yeah,
case based on the law, which is important. Where possible, you are aligning also with trade unionists, with the trade unionists, and you also seek to maintain law and order, in terms of
yes,
police, to get the police involved, because the police is also going through the same thing. And
yes,
where possible, you always try to invite the media to what is happening. Not
yes,
that they would necessarily come. And you've been
right.
using social media, etc., trying to get the point across, and keep pushing that spirit of love and unity, and to come in that opposite spirit where they're pushing discrimination and intolerance and tyranny. You're pushing a whole different thing, which is wonderful, and that's what we want to go right across the Caribbean as we resist. We
uh,
and one of the things that you said, which is so important, that we are resisting from a mentality of victory, from a place of victory, knowing
yes,
that it's going
yeah,
to be overturned.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
we're going to get back our Caribbean. It's going to be overturned, Mr. Abdullah. I'm so in agreement with that. It's a place of victory. We resisting. We are not accepting it, but we're not. This is not something that we believe that is going to be with us. We believe that it's a. So can you talk to me about you have this, the safe zone is occurring in Trinidad. How does that affect the unvaccinated? Say, for restaurants, is it really affecting them? Medical care, um, houses of worship. Where is the safe zone in operation? How does it operate in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, the citizens are established to just facilitate those persons who would have gotten the injections. And um, from the very onset, just hold one sec.
Yes.
Yeah, from the very onset, um, I lost connection.
Yeah. You're still here. It's just
Oh,
your
still here. Okay.
off.
All
Yes.
right. Yes. So from very onset, you would understand that every single worker in that particular safe zone or in that facility, in that area,
Mm-hmm.
has to get the injections, has to be injected. If they, for some reason, for some medical reason, they cannot take the injection, they
Mm-hmm.
have to provide that medical record from the public sector, not from a
Mm-hmm.
private sector. So only those medical exemptions will be recognized. And
Mm-hmm.
then also, if you, what I understand is happening, if it is you're not willing to take the job and you cannot get an exemption, you have to subject yourself to a PCR test every so often.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And persons now are being asked now who goes to the restaurant or goes to these places, they are asked to produce
Okay, so I think we've lost him a little bit there. The
their
technology. Okay, so we're
vaccination
he's dragging a little bit there, but while we
cards.
sort it out, so Mr. Omar, Mr. Abdullah, if you can hear me, and you can probably close off and come back in.
To be
Let's
allowed to
try
dine
that.
and so on. Um, this is this is something that really persons who would have been patronizing this particular establishment for years now have to be served at the door. It's really a breakdown in the way we treat with our people. It's a breakdown in the way we operate, and the breakdown in the very fabric of what has built our Caribbean countries and made us so robust in the area of tourism and warmth and celebration and all of that. And but I want to make a point here. We started off as that, and mind you, we're going to end as that. We're going to end warm. We're going to end as a celebration. We're going to end, as a major attraction for for people throughout the globe. We're going to end like that. I'm promising that. So basically, these are what our safe zones are. Some of the hospitals and now doctors are insisting that people only be going to access medical attention or medical services
Mm-hmm.
if they are if they have gotten the injections. All right, if
Mm-hmm.
they didn't get the injections, they will have to wait. All right, or they will have to seek medical attention somewhere else. Beds, for instance, are being are being used in that fashion. You can't get a bed if it is you are unvaxxed and that sort of
Wow.
thing. And
You
some
can't
of
get a
the
hospital bed if you're unvaxxed?
yes, there were reports like that reaching us and so on. And also, we've seen in some of the places of worship, one woman would have spoken to me from the Catholic Church, and she told me that her pastor told her that she cannot come to the church if she is unvaccinated.
Wow.
Um,
This is a Christian
so
church, and the
this
Christian
is a Christian
pastor
church.
is
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
that you
Catholic
can't.
Church.
Wow.
Yeah. So, this is the type of um, baseless, type of uh, I don't know how to call it. It's so unthinkable that
Mm-hmm.
our society would have reached at this point, at this place. And this is some of the things that is happening in our society, and we need to keep pushing back. We need to be educating people. The world over, it is clear by now. Everybody should know this that these so-called vaccines have failed. All right, and countries need to stop injecting their population. Countries need to open up back their countries, remove the lockdowns, remove the mask wearing. You know, done away with the social distancing. People would it's such a laugh. People would line up in the airport, social distance apart to check in their tickets. And when they go on the plane, they're sitting right next to each other and breathing in each other's
Right.
face. It's so ridiculous. We travel in taxis and buses. We're not more than 1 feet apart from persons in those maxis and buses
Mm-hmm.
at every given point in time in an enclosed place. All right,
Correct.
but yet we can't go in a restaurant and we can't sit down and eat. All right, it's so foolish. It's so ridiculous. I don't know. Common sense has gone through the door. Stupidity has come in and decided to take up residence.
Yes.
Probably that's what is happening. But the thing about it is that like I said, we are continuing to engage these institutions. We are continuing to do what we're doing, and there's something that we are developing. It's a huge event that's going to come up, and it's not the event that we advertised. The beach cleanup campaign in anticipation to the reopening of the beaches. It is
Mm-hmm.
not the event that we advertised for the 27th of November, where we're going to walk from Point Fortin to Port of Spain. It's not that event. All right, it's another event that's going
Mm-hmm.
to be a huge event, and it's going to really put this government and put the ministers, the prime minister, in a position where they would have nowhere to run, nowhere to turn.
Wow.
All
So
right. So
is there a date for
and
that
that
one?
and
Do
that
you
and
have a
that
date?
is and that is going to involve the police, and it's going to be a very, very peaceful,
Mm-hmm.
very, very peaceful and diplomatic process.
Yes. And when is that supposed to be, Mr. Abdullah?
We are going to start that as soon as by the end of this week, early next week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we want to get some footage of that because we're one Caribbean, and we're fighting this, at a grassroots level. And
Yeah.
so the encouragement, what's happening on the ground in Trinidad, is going to help St. Vincent, it's going to help Barbados, it's going to help Jamaica, it's going to help St. Kitts, wherever we're from. Okay. And so I want to thank you so much for coming on today. But before you go, can you just take 2 minutes and talk to me about the seed bank that you have? So you're not just fighting out there for the rights of the people, but you're also fighting to ensure that people have food to eat
Yes,
because
yes.
of this forced
And
famine, I call it, that they want to put on us. Can you tell us
all right,
just
and that's
tell
yeah,
us about
and
that?
that's very important for the different group leaders throughout the Caribbean region. You have an obligation to take care of your people as well, to take care of your membership, and we have been trying to do that. We have been, on a hamper distribution drive as well, where we are providing hampers for the less needy and the less fortunate within our group membership, and also outside of our group membership as well. We're encouraging people to, to stock up on food items and so on. For those of you who are not aware, China has recently you know, forced the construction, not the construction, the manufacturing businesses in China have allocated certain, limited time for electricity in all of these factories.
Yes.
So the factories are down by 75% of the
Mhm.
capacity. So they're not producing as much. All right. So they're regulating the electricity supply to these factories and so on. So obviously our supply or demand of the supply is going to be, drastically affected.
Mhm.
So my advice to all persons is to stock up on the food. And what we have encouraged our membership to do is to start a seed bank. So we are encouraging everybody. You go to the supermarket, you buy vegetables, you go to the market, you buy anything that has a seed. You understand? Save those seeds. Save it.
Mhm.
Because right now on the open market, you can't get seeds to buy. Farmers are complaining they can't get seeds to buy. Farmers are
Mhm.
complaining they cannot get insecticides, weedicides to take care of their crops.
Mhm.
When their crops, wither and die, or when their crops get diseases and infection and so on,
Mhm.
they are unable to manage their crops in that way. So they're going to lose their crops. We have had reports. We have had reports, and just this morning I spoke again to the individuals to make sure that that information came from the farmers themselves.
Mhm.
Two farmers thus far, we have gotten reports that they were paid to destroy their crops in Trinidad.
In
So when things
Trinidad.
like yes, in Trinidad. So when things like this are happening, you know, I know a lot of you are saying, but wait, I thought it was in the United States this was happening. No, 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 no. It's happening here in Trinidad as well. All right.
Mhm.
Just as how they're paying the farmers in the United States to destroy their crops, so too in Trinidad, the same is happening. And what's also happening, there's a big land grab that is taking place already in Tobago. It has started in Tobago and in Trinidad, and the government is very much involved in this land grab. So we can just understand where we are going if we connect the dots and understand exactly our position and what is
Mhm.
happening to us. We could understand and see 10 months down the road where we're going to be if it is we do not put our house in order and we do not get
Mhm.
ourselves prepared for what is happening. So continue saving those seeds, continue. We have information on how it is you can store those seeds, how it is you can keep them for a very long time, etc., etc. We are
Mhm.
in the process of setting up a parallel food security program. It's an agricultural program where we're encouraging persons to come on board with us, where we're going back to the land, planting, reaping, producing, and we want to be able to supply our membership and to supply the rest of Trinidad and Tobago with crops, with foods that are grown locally right here in Trinidad and Tobago. And we
Mhm.
want to do that without government help,
Yes.
without government help. All right. Because
Wonderful.
we already know what they're about. So we
Yes.
don't want them to interfere with nothing that we are doing. What we are doing, it's pure, and we don't want it to be tainted with anything
Mhm.
that is unpure. So
Yeah.
let us stick to what it is we are doing, and let us approach it from this standpoint. There's a lot that um, there's a lot going on, throughout the world. And if we were to pay attention what is happening in the other countries, we'll very well know what we should do in our own countries to prevent ourselves from getting there. Look
Mm-hmm.
what is happening in Australia. We've
Mm-hmm.
seen the failure of the injections in a lot of countries across the globe. We've seen Japan has been able to level their their curve in Japan by the use of the alternative treatments like ivermectin and so on and so forth. A drastic reduction in cases and deaths in Japan. We've seen the same thing happen in India, in Uttar Pradesh, over 200 million people, 20%, less than 20% of the population vaccinated, only 7 persons
Mm-hmm.
was quoted as having COVID-19 by 11th of November. Cayman Islands, just over 60,000 people, over 82% of the population they are vaccinated, and they had 700 and close to 800 cases by November 11th. All right, this is shocking. This is an actual case where you can say the injection has failed. It has
That's fair.
failed. It has failed, and we
Yeah.
need to stop it now.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to do.
That's what. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Abdullah, for coming on. And those of you who are interested in the seed bank, which I think everybody needs to be interested in the seed bank, you can reach out to Mr. Abdullah, 868 And I'm going to put that information right here. That's 868-827-9408 if you want to get involved in the movement.
No,
Um,
no, no. I think that's the wrong number.
that's the wrong number.
It's
Which number
yeah,
should
it's
we
eight
give?
868 365
Okay, it's a
6253.
365
Six 6253.
6253. Okay, so
Yes.
1-868-365-6253. Okay,
Yes.
yes, so that's the first wave movement. Please reach out to them and get involved. If you're in Trinidad, even if you're not in Trinidad, reach out to them. There are things that they're doing that we might be able to benefit from here in the Caribbean. So reach out to them. The number is right there, and I'm going to put it up on the screen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Mr. Abdullah. God bless you.
You're welcome, and it was my pleasure being here.
Yes, keep up the good work. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Yes, bye bye. Well, guys, that was Mr. Umar Abdullah, and we thank him so much. Thank him so much for what he shared with us, about the Hyatt, that they have rescinded that order against their employees that they had to take the vaccine, or they have to take the PCR test. And we thank God that that's happened with Hyatt and other, other companies in Trinidad and Tobago. And we have with us now in our studio. Listen, this is all Caribbean. Don't go anywhere. You're watching. Don't go anywhere. We are going to talk about St. Vincent and the Grenadines, right? St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and this is very, very, very important. This is one of one of the things that's one of the places, one of the Caribbean countries that a lot of the times I would sit and a tear would drop from my eye because I cannot believe this is happening in our beautiful Caribbean. And I am waiting for the day to see my wonderful St. Vincent friends freed from this tyranny that is happening there. So I am so happy to welcome in the studio Mr. Senator, the Honorable Senator Israel Bruce. Sir, can you hear me? Okay, do you have headphones? Can you put in headphones? Do you have any headphones? Okay, so he's still not hearing me. Okay.
I don't know if you heard me myself, but the way you're speaking, I can be very faintly way back. I can hear you like way back in the background, but I can hardly hear what you're saying. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so you're breaking up. So we're hearing you, but you're breaking up a bit.
I
So
wonder if I join you out via my laptop, but I'm not sure.
Yes. Okay. So let's try. You could try. Let's try the laptop and see.
I was just asking whenever I join my laptop, it doesn't make any difference.
Okay, so guys, just hang with us a little bit. We're just, as you know, this is live, and so we're having just a little technical issue. But we're gonna come right back to you. All right, we're trying literally trying to work it out. Okay, can you hear me now?
So not hearing you myself, sorry. Let me see if I can get them by the laptop. Right?
Yes.
No, no, I'm not hearing you at the moment. Just bear with me.
Okay.
Oh, so sorry.
Okay. Can you check
So
the
I'm
chat?
speaking. I'm
Can
speaking.
you hear
I
me?
trust that
Check
you're
the
hearing
chat.
me, but I don't know
I just want him to keep
if you are
speaking.
hearing me, but I'm hearing you. I'd have to find a way to get the credentials. Oh, stream. Yeah, so it's not Zoom. Okay, sorry. Uh, let's see if I find that.
Okay, guys, it's going to be resolved. It's going to resolve. Don't go anywhere, people. Don't go anywhere, people. It's going to be
I'm still not
resolved.
hearing you. Sorry if
Okay?
you're asking me that question. I don't know if you are hearing me, but I'm still not hearing you.
Okay. All right, guys. While we get that sorted out, I have a video that I want to share with you today, and I shared it on Saturday, and it is a song by Crime Song, which I think this needs to be the anthem. This needs to be the anthem. So I'm going to just play that right now while it out.
Gone too far, no. As I walk this lonely road, I know who walks with me. I can do this here just because. They want to see I work on this. You can't jab me, I don't box. Anybody try to stick me, end up in a box. The last thing I had, chicken pox. Run up on the chicken if you think I use a fox. Tell a whole bunch of lies all the time, all of a sudden wanna care about people. If it's one irrefutable truth, the government don't give a f about you. But the hardest thing is to know, I don't see that these people is enemies. When them talking, I just don't know. Certain things can't even get my energy. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. As I walk to the valley of death, I know who walks with me. I wanna already know. People tell me be silent, cause you don't see presidents dead, ain't. But I rather get violent, cause I don't like really boat heading. Jump off the boat head first in the water. Can't come and bribe me with the chips and a burger. A man dead inside the jail for opening up his store. All I wanna want charge you with murder. Segregation, no race. Them safe zones not safe. Cover unit a disgrace to your race. Don't let nobody come and jet no money in your face. If they threatening your job, unvaccinated employees stand tall. And if you're done vaccinated and you know that this is answer the call. The hardest thing is to know. Hardest thing. I don't see that these people is enemies. When them talking, I just don't know. Certain things can't even get my energy. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. As I walk to the valley of death, I know who walks with me.
In the name of my children and my grandchild, I want to live in a country where there's freedom of expression. I want to live in a country where no despot can feel that they should hold the destiny of my children and my grandchild in their hands. Try to be a despot with me.
You can't jab me, I don't box. Anybody try to stick me, end up in a box. The last thing I had, chicken pox. Run up on the chicken if you think that use a fox. Tell a whole bunch of lies all the time, all of a sudden wanna care about people. If it's one irrefutable truth, the government don't give a f about you. The hardest thing is to know.
Yes, yes, that's Crime Son. That's Crime Son. And that song was just released last week and doing very well. You can't put it on YouTube. But listen, we are going to make that song viral. We are going to make that song viral. And thank you for all those who are sticking with us because we're going to be talking about St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we have the Honorable Senator Israel Bruce. And let's make sure, can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Wonderful. I told them it's going to work out. I told them. So, we're not going to even waste any time. This is, I watch what's happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and my heart hurts. I saw that which day was it? The 19th was,
19th of November.
yes. Can you tell us what was supposed to happen on the 19th of November, Senator?
Right. So let's put some historical perspective to this, Marcia, with the limited time that we have. Thank you very
Yes.
much, first of all, for allowing me this opportunity to share on your most important program and to share with my colleagues in the region and my colleagues at home in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and those in the Vincentian diasporas. First of all, you'd recall that earlier this year, the government took to Parliament and amended the Public Health Act
Mhm.
number 300. Essentially, what the amendment did was to make vaccination mandatory.
Right.
That's the ultimate effect of the amendment. There are other touches to the amendment by way of the amendment that really and truly buttress the ultimate change, which was to allow the government a legal route to facilitate mandatory vaccination.
Mhm.
And as a corollary piece of legislation, the Medical Officers Act, that too, via route of Section 14, I think it was amended because the original version provided that where there is a national public health issue and testing and or a treatment regimen was to be entered upon, that the state will take responsibility cost-wise. The government amended that single section to let it read that the citizen will be responsible for the cost of the testing and vaccination regimen, essentially.
Mhm.
So that is the backdrop. Now, so the government passed the legislation earlier this year, the amendment to the legislation, and among other things, gave the chief medical officer, that I
Mhm.
call the super doctor, um, the authority to determine which doctors can sign a certificate that suggests that you should not be subjected to the vaccination program.
Mhm.
So, of all the medical practitioners in St. Vincent and the Grenadines who went to their various schools of medicine, who have been admitted to practice medicine in St. Vincent, the chief medical officer then was authorized and selected, I think, a group of either 10 or 12 of them. But these are the only 12 or
Mhm.
10 or 8 who can say that I do not recommend Marcia Weeks for this vaccination for reasons A, B, and C.
Right.
And outside of those, there's a superstructure of 3 doctors who become advisors to the chief medical officer, so that even if one of the 10 selected doctors by the CMO
Mhm.
says that this person should be medically exempted, these 3 are there to give additional or second opinion or third opinion or fourth opinion. And if in their opinion that person or that group of persons should not be exempted, then you see the opinion of the original doctor goes to the wayside.
Wow.
Right? That is
So
how.
how is that being played out there? I mean, do you have a lot of people who are trying to get exemption, medical exemption, not trying, but who are eligible for medical exemption that they're not getting exempted?
Right. So the eligibility is an issue that I would not be in a position to be able to answer because, of course, I as a consummate professional, I continue to subscribe to the notion that there must be a sustained relationship between the professional and his or her client, and that must not be broached or breached,
Mhm.
right? So that and I made that point to say that you could imagine, listeners, if you, Sharon Brown in Christchurch, Barbados,
Mhm.
that you've been seeing your doctor for the past 15 years. This is your doctor for the past 15 years. By virtue of what the St. Vincent government has done, your doctor, who has not made it on that list of 10, who has been seeing you for the last 15 years of your life, who knows your medical circumstances inside out, you must now subscribe to a different medical doctor
Mhm.
who would make a determination whether you should or should not be um, vaccinated.
Right.
So some doctors are pushed to the corner and not qualified to express such a medical opinion. And I want persons to understand the danger that lurks in all of that. It suggests to me that you're suggesting that these people, these doctors who you have not qualified to be able to articulate an exemption, that those doctors, their qualification and their practice seemingly goes into question as far as I'm
Mhm.
concerned. You're
Mhm.
not telling me I shouldn't really want to go to one of these doctors because they're not seen as being so qualified as to make a proper judgment, an informed judgment on exemption.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that is the issue. So let's fast forward. Of course, you know, and our listeners will know that for the implementation of any act in Parliament, principally there's what we call the statutory rules and orders, SR&Os, right?
Mhm.
Those would give implementation or put the law into motion. So the government rolled out SR&O number 28 of 2021, and that SR&O addresses principally the giving efficaciousness to the amended Public Health Act, right?
Mhm.
So there are, I think, 4 or 5 rules that are critical in all the rules, I would say. Rule number 4 that deals with the continuous testing, the swabbing, and so forth of persons. But that rule is subject to rule number 6 that addresses the issue of persons who are partially vaccinated. So that where there is a double vaccination regimen and you have taken one, rule number 6 says if you have taken one, you'd be allowed to the workplace. But when the time becomes due for you to take the second one, you must take it. And between that first one and the second one, you must subject yourself to the swabbing. Yeah, that's what our rule 4 talks about. Then rule 5 says that rule 5 is subject to rule 7, right? Rule 5 says that you must be vaccinated. It lists a number of categories of people: teachers, public servants, police officers, and it gives a long list, right? So by the 19th, these people must be vaccinated. And if they're not vaccinated, the only other way for them is if they are exempted. The exemption it comes under 2 subheads. 1, medical exemption, and 2, religious exemption. Now, I just spoke to you briefly about the medical exemption component, where these 10 doctors are the ones who decide if you should be exempted. And if they still say you should be exempted, one of them say you should be exempted, and one of the sub super doctors say that they don't agree, then the super doctor then makes the final decision that you're not exempted, you must go and get vaccinated. Mandatory vaccination. That's what it is, long and short. Number 7 deals with the exemptions, as I said, rule 7. The
Mhm.
religious component of it says that the employer may exempt the employee under the religious ground if the employer can make arrangements to accommodate the employee.
Mhm.
So you see, all that the employer has to say is that, well, we cannot make alternative arrangements to accommodate you. And
Ah.
therefore, you are not going to get the exemption under religious grounds. Pure and simple. And the rule says that the application for exemption under religious ground must be done in conformity with some formation that is determined by cabinet. Of course, cabinet who may have spiritual Baptist and Seventh Day Adventist and Anglican and Pentecostal all boil into one melting pot. And they then determine whether or not you are exempted under that religious arrangement because they decide the format. what information you must provide. So essentially, they're deciding who qualifies for that or not. And
Wow.
then, in my mind, based on some of the information I see, my dear listeners, they have excluded the fact that a person could belong to a religion that has not been practiced in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Mm-hmm.
Because the rule speaks about a religious leader providing particular support and so forth and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if a person subscribes to a religious practice that is not practiced in St. Vincent, there's no religious leader in St. Vincent to sign off on any
Sign
application
off
that
on
you're
that.
making.
Wow.
So you're denied, in essence, your freedom of choice and your freedom to assemble and your freedom to associate is cajoled and
Right.
pigeonholed by this piece of legislation in that sense. So, comes to your question, November 19th, what is the feeling on the ground? I
Yeah.
had I had two stark realities I want to speak to. Last week, I think it was last week, yeah, if not last week, was the week before. I had two teachers from St. Vincent who scheduled an appointment with me, who wanted to have a legal consultation.
Mm-hmm.
One of those two teachers have already delivered approximately 34 years of service to the country.
Yes.
And she has taken the decision that she's not satisfied, she's not convinced, and as such, she will not be taking the vaccination. You know what that means, Massey? It means after 34 years of service to our country, she must now go home on the breadline because she chose not to take a vaccine.
Right.
She didn't subscribe to the mandate to take the vaccine. So her mortgage will go into difficulty. The financial institution will roll in on her. They will sell her property. And
Mm-hmm.
after being a teacher for 34 years, producing a number of outstanding students who themselves are contributing, that teacher may very well end up living on the streets in St. Vincent and maybe in the mental asylum. I don't know. The other officer or state worker is a police officer who is I think is a station sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
Again, having some investments in the country and has decided that he is not at that stage where he's going to take the vaccination. And
Mm.
so he has made up his mind that resignation it will be. Those are two stark realities for us. And they must not be examined in the exclusion of a context that these people have families. So we must extend the application of the analysis to their families and their family members and see the extent to which this mandatory vaccination approach in St. Vincent and in other countries across the region are going to hurt families by great extension and the implications that there will be. So, what we now have, I am still out of the island. I am scheduled to return very soon, but I am learning by my constant discourse that a number of these officers are now asking to for early retirement.
Wow. Wow. My goodness. And so this is you're going to lose some of your best and your brightest people,
That's right.
over something that is just so, I mean, it can be easily be resolved, with some understanding, listening to the people, finding different solutions. There was an article that I wanted to bring to your attention, but I'm not getting it up on the screen at the moment. But this is where the a group of churches
Yes.
have written to the prime minister a lovely letter.
Hmm.
I read the majority of it,
Yes.
beautifully written, talking about charity and love, and asking him. And I want to show it today. I so want to show that, bring that up today. But for some reason, I'm not finding it at the moment. But I wanted people to see. And the prime minister says that this is like a letter that the Taliban would write. Did you see that article?
I saw the the document that is penned by the coalition of presumably the coalition of religious leaders
Yes, but
of
why
the
would
South.
he liken it to the Taliban? I searched the report to see would be in that letter? Why Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves would say that this is a letter that would possibly come from a Taliban? I'm trying to understand.
The first thing I would say is this: one has to begin to expect anything from Ralph Gonsalves now. If those very church leaders had said that they were in full support of mandatory vaccination, they would have been angels descended from heaven and sent the message from God.
But I'm just saying that any reasonable person who read that letter, regardless of whether you believed in the vaccine or you didn't,
Mhm.
just reading the letter, I cannot see where a reasonable person would determine that this letter sounds like something that came from the Taliban. When the church, they're talking about love and charity and the
Mhm.
treatment of each other, and that is the tone of the letter was just nothing of the sort. And it makes me wonder, is something going on in his head? I don't understand. What I'm seriously asking. I'm asking a serious question.
Well, I am satisfied. I am satisfied that Marcia, that something must be going on in his head. As I said, I've seen the document purportedly sent by the coalition of church leaders. I'm trying to scroll to see if I could find it too, to share some parts of it with
Yes,
the listening and viewing public. If I do, I would so share it so
yes.
that people could
I will keep
appreciate
looking for it.
people would appreciate what the important point that you're making. But at the end of the day, it's there is this anxiety that is
Hmm.
setting in on the political leaders, including Gonzalez, that they
Hmm.
will turn to practically. It's appealing to that emotion
Hmm.
of the Vincentian populace. So do not see these people as church leaders anymore. See them as people who would behead you at any moment.
What? But
Because that is the message that you're conjuring up in people's mind. Look, let me give you a classic example. The president of the Police Welfare Association, a gentleman by the name of Sergeant Brenton Smith, or Station Sergeant Brenton Smith, um, spoke publicly about the concerns of the members of the Police Welfare Association. You know what was the Prime Minister's response? The Prime Minister's response was essentially to say that the
hmm
people in the district for which Brenton Smith is responsible as a senior police officer, that how he expect the people to have respect for him because you disrespected me, Ralph Gonzalez.
hmm
In my mind, essentially what Gonzalez is doing is inviting disrespect and some sort of a chaos in that part of the country as the Minister
yes.
of National Security. When you say to the people of those areas that Smith is disrespecting me, how could
Hmm.
you be working in my district? And that's his constituency.
Hmm.
How could you disrespect me? And you have to go to South Rivers and Park Hill and Connery to work. You are subtly sending a message to them that they must disregard the authority of Brenton Smith as the senior officer in that district and meet him with disrespect. What
Actually,
is
I have a little clip of it because when you sent it to me, I couldn't believe what I was hearing from a leader of a
well, don't keep it
country.
to yourself. Share it for the rest of the region to hear if you can.
I have it right here. I have it right here.
I, I've seen I've seen the list. I just wanted to see. I don't do the selections. I just wanted to see the level and quality of applicants now. Right. And they're very, very good quality. Very good quality young men and women. The police officers, they have their own, the senior ranks, they have their own way of choosing the persons and so on, and I don't get involved in that. But I'm asking the union leaders of the the public service union, the teachers union, just to cooperate. And I'm doing the same thing for the public. The Police Welfare Association is very unfortunate that the chairman of the Police Welfare Association has been so disrespectful in his public comments. I've heard some things. At least somebody played to me
out. I don't know all where it came from. Critical of the commissioner, the deputy commissioner, assistant Commissioner Benjamin, superintendent of police, Trevor Bailey, otherwise known popularly as Buju. Now let me ask you something. If you're chairman of the Police Welfare Association, you're a station sergeant. You have your differences. You have to be disrespectful. Huh?
Of course not.
You're in charge of the Connery police station. How you expect your constables and your corporal below you there in Connery police station to relate to you if you're not disrespecting people above? How you expect the community in Connery? Huh?
I'm pausing it there to bring you. Can you discuss that? What is this disrespect that he's talking about? And can you explain a little bit about that?
I really wish I could have explained the disrespect. It appears that Mr. Smith would have took a public interview and expressed his concerns, as he's so required to do. Concerns of the rank and file members of the Police Welfare Association. Mm-hmm. And I didn't hear the precise interview itself, but Gonzalo responding to a question, he clearly suggested, look, the young men and women who are ready to come into the police force, in a sense, trying to say to those who are saying that they're not subscribing to the vaccination, you don't have to. I will replace you with people who are ready to work. That's essentially what he was doing. So he shares the view that when I talk, no damn dog back.
So this man is from listening to this. So all that happened is that the police is saying is basically expressing their opinion about this vaccination.
Yep.
So and he is taking up on himself to say that they're disrespectful, and how can they expect the people to respect them? Because he's sharing his opinion, and really from just a citizen of the Caribbean listening to this man and reading the reports coming out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, he's totally out of control. This is a prime minister that is out of control.
I'll say this. You see, opinion is a one hell of a thing, because you see, Marcia, and to our listeners, you can look at, or you can listen to a statement being made by someone, and from that statement, you garner something that another listener hears something totally different. Yes? And it is for that reason why when Prime Minister Gonzalez says that Brenton was disrespectful, or Mr. Smith, Station Sergeant Smith was disrespectful, another person listening to that may very well not form the same view that he formed.
Mm-hmm.
But you're entitled to form your view, right? But my thing is, even if you form the view that Brenton came over as being disrespectful, for you to stretch it to suggest to the people of the respective communities that he is disrespectful to me or to these guys. But you see, he didn't want to say he's disrespectful. He was, in a very subtle way, also trying to suggest to the Commissioner of Police that internal proceedings should be brought against Mr. Smith.
Yeah, let's listen a little bit more. And
right
those
ahead.
of you who are watching, it is a policeman in SVG who is giving his view about the vaccination. And here is what the Prime Minister of the country has to say. Listen to this, and you all tell me what you think.
The community in Park Hill, the community in South Rivers, where you have to go to do the policing. If you're behaving in this manner. You know, there's a disciplined organization, you know. And even though you're a chairman of the Police Welfare Association, you're still a policeman, you know. And you have the job which is paying you is that of policeman. Johnny P.
Yes, Prime Minister.
And you have an obligation
To your employer, of course, you have obligation to people who elect you to represent them. But we noticed that 61% of the police officers already take the vaccine. Johnny P. Yes. And you're going in Connery and you're going in Park Hill and you're going in South Rivers to be disrespectful to the Prime Minister. Well, okay, go ahead. Play politics if you want to play that. Huh?
There we go.
Yeah. Can you imagine that, Johnny P? I'm listening.
So because the policeman has shared a different opinion, he cannot believe that the policeman could share a different opinion. Am I hearing right?
But you see the transient. It moves from disrespecting the commissioner and the deputy commissioner. It moves from disrespecting his ranked officers to disrespecting the prime minister.
Yes.
Because he had to make the linkage between the people in Connery and South Rivers and Park Hill who are from his constituency.
Yes.
And that is the area that he thought the officer was stationed. In fact, he was not even aware that the officer was stationed in a different district. Sorry that was the case for him. But the point still is, what was the intent? And even if it's not Connery and Park Hill and South Rivers, where the officer is stationed in the town of Georgetown, it's still in his constituency.
Mm-hmm.
So he still has to deal with a number of persons coming to the station from the Prime Minister's constituency. And that is the Prime Minister telegraphing to them that police officer in charge of your district, is disrespectful to me, who you support,
Right.
So if he disrespect me, he must expect some disrespect from you all.
Exactly. That's what I'm reading into what this leader is saying.
That is the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security.
Yes.
The police works under his ministry.
So he's advocating chaos.
Precisely my point. That is my conclusion, wrongly or rightly. So you take that and you twin it with the Christian church, the churches having coined their statement, and I need to drop my volume, and he now saying, or twinning it with Talibanism.
Correct. And I have it here. I have the statement here, and I want those of you who are on, who are listening, please, guys, please, I want you to be following what's happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I am telling you, just from watching this man, I don't think all is right. All is okay up here. He's probably getting a little too old because somehow he believes there's nobody is supposed to say something else. This is the letter. I have a portions of the letter thanks to my friend from SBG who sent this to me just a while ago. Prime Minister Rod Gonzalez has likened to something that the Taliban in Afghanistan would issue. The statement by the Christian Coalition about vaccine mandate in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In this very challenging and difficult time, the church wishes to be clear about the morality of mandates that require people to be vaccinated or face the termination of their employment and possible loss of accrued benefits. This is what the Christian Coalition of SBG said in the statement. Right? A copy of which was obtained by the newspaper, right? And this is what the coalition said. We are hereby called to reflect on the gravity of the violation involved in coercing a person to do something that he or she believes to be wrong. Thus, we must know that religious and civil authorities have a duty to respect the conscience of persons as a civil right. Each person is bound to follow his or her God-given conscience and should not be forced to act in a manner contrary to it. We would like to make it abundantly clear that we do not support mandatory vaccination and urge that our nation exercises love and mercy and do not add to the extra burden of unemployment to those whose God-given conscience restrain them from taking the COVID-19 vaccine. They go on to say, and I want you to listen clearly and tell me Where in this letter is there anything that would suggest that they are behaving as Taliban? Taliban, these are people who chop off the necks of people and hurt their fellow citizens and force them to do things beyond their will. This is what the
Yes.
letter goes on to say. So please listen to it, viewers. As servants of God, we are hereby requesting that the government and private sector, all employers, exercise patience and
Mhm.
seek more consultation and
Mhm.
collaboration. We're
Talibanism.
also requesting that each citizen of our great nation consider seriously the gravity of the situation before us and to do all within our power and conviction to adhere to the protocols established by the Ministry of Health: wearing of facial mask, physical distancing, hand sanitizing, and proper hand washing. We are all God's children. May we unite and trust that our faith in God will see us through. This is what they are saying in their letter. However, the dear Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines says that this is tantamount to the Taliban. The Taliban. I don't understand. I'm going to ask people to go and check this out. This is important. This is a very important Christian coalition vaccine statement is like something from the Taliban. How? You will have to bring some you will have to bring some sense to this, Senator
Look,
Israel.
um, there are those of us on earth who try to explain the unexplainable, to bring sense to the senseless, and I am not going to seek to do the impossible. I cannot fathom a moment where I could add any semblance or notion of common sense to that type of response. None whatsoever, and I'm not going to try. Sorry, viewers. Sorry if I disappoint you.
It doesn't make any sense, and this is why my concern is there for St. Vincent and of all the islands. But when I think it's a lot of irrational things being said and just decisions that are being made,
Mhm.
and this person, even Samuel, said God have to remove this evil, wicked dictator out of office in SVG and the Grenadines and the so-called bishops and prophets. Oh my Lord! Listen, this is really mm, mm. All I can do is shake my head. I am sorry. I
Yeah,
don't know what
well,
else to do.
the reality is that November 19th is 2 days away,
Yes.
and as I said, I understand that a number of persons have been asking to go on early retirement, seeking out their packages. I also read a statement that is presumably attributed to the Prime Minister saying, look, there are 800 police officers who have already taken the vaccine, and essentially suggesting that 800 police officers could do the work that is necessary. In other
Mm-hmm.
words, I really don't need more than the 800 that have taken the vaccine. It's a damning indictment. You almost suggesting to us that you, and it is something that we were saying all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Is a double barrel twin sort of something that has to be looked at very carefully, because first
Yeah.
of all, it's suggesting that those who have not taken the vaccine could go. We don't care. We won't miss you. We have enough to do the job. That is
Mm-hmm.
suggesting that you had an overstaffed police organization, so you had too many persons to do too little work. That's what
Mm-hmm.
he's suggesting. Though I have a different view. I believe that our police officers in St. Vincent are grossly overworked, don't get enough time off from the job, are not, they don't have a sufficiency of officers who are trained to the requisite standard of currently police officers,
Mm-hmm.
and as a consequence, far too many criminal activities go without persons either being caught or being properly convicted, because you have police officers who worked all day till they go, who sent home to get some rest, gets a call 11 o'clock in the night, you need to go to this crime scene. That's a person who has not had any rest, who's not thinking straight, who's not
Right.
seen everything. So he goes on a crime scene, there's a knife there, there's a gun there. He doesn't see it, he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't pick it up. He doesn't realize it's there because he's mentally and physically tired.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, I don't think that it is that we have too many officers. His suggestion, by his own admission, is an indictment on what he accepts as a sufficient police force.
Right.
But I see it differently. But the point still is, he's saying, you can go to heaven or hell. I don't care if you want to go. There are
Mm-hmm.
800 who have already taken the vaccine, and that is enough for me to work with.
Wow. And even though it seemed as though they're overworked, it's understaffed. So,
In my mind, they are.
oh my goodness. And what's with the teachers? What's the percentage that have taken the vaccine there?
I do not know what percentage of teachers have taken. All I can tell you is that there's been a continued uneasiness amongst teachers in the country as to what is happening and the requirement for November 19th that they be vaccinated. And I gave you the story of that teacher after 34 years. She said, my God will provide. Um, she's just going to go out there. And as I said, you just imagine her on the street in
Mm-hmm.
3-4 days time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not this one. I hope for God's sake that we don't have another couple of teachers who are walking the street, not knowing how to put food on their table, not knowing how to pay their bills, not knowing how to service their loans, knowing that their homes will be sold. That's the only thing that they've worked out for their whole life, and to watch it go because they decided that this vaccine or this thing that is called the vaccine that is not properly tested, that is principally a global experiment, that I have not decided at this point in time that I want to have it inserted in my body. I'm exercising my right to choose not to have it. Um, and I don't see the reason why we need to go mandatory. I really don't see it.
So what kind of legal? You're a lawyer, Senator. What kind of legal recourse would people have? I know that the laws were actually changed in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So, is there any legal recourse for any of these public servants?
I will tell you what the government has done through the SRNO, number 28 of 2021, for example, where it says if you are not tested in accordance with Rule 4 of the
Mhm.
SRNO, and you're not vaccinated in accordance with Rule 5, then if you turn up on the job, you will be asked to leave. And whether you leave or not, well, I presume if you don't leave, they might bring the police to escort you out. But whether you leave or not, you will be treated as being absent from the job.
Hmm.
And having been treated as being absent from the job, then the public service commissions rules will kick in. That where you're absent from the job for at least, I think, 10 days without leave, because those days would be absent without leave. Where you're absent from the job for at least 10 days without leave, then you would have been regarded as having abandoned your job.
Oh
And that
wow.
means that the benefits that should have been accrued to you for your 30 years of service will all be lost. So your child who's at university and who's depending on mommy's salary to pay to carry them through university, that child may have to come home. I don't know if people are looking at the extent to which this thing is going to ripple.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
child or those kids may have to come home. And they would come home to meet what in St. Vincent? Their future will be cut short in terms of their education and training. Their participation in society, therefore, ultimately will be cut short and will become um,
Mhm.
possibly ineffective or not maximized. Those would represent the hardcore realities for the Vincentian people under the leadership of Gonzalez and his Unity Labour Party government. That is what we have. And let me put it straight. We in the New Democratic Party have said that through Dr. Friday, as leader of our party, he has said to persons, educate yourself on this vaccine.
Mhm.
He said, I have taken the vaccine. I, Godwin Friday, believe that it is the best thing to do at this point in time. You educate yourself. Make an informed decision as to whether or not you want to take the vaccine.
And I think that that is fair. I think that that is fair, and that is fair, and that is the way that we should go, especially because we're seeing where you're going to need a booster, and if you don't know how many, we can see that the vaccine has not, it's not really working.
Marcia,
It's
you
not really
just,
working.
not to cut you, you just spoke to booster. I listened to Prime Minister Boris Johnson out of the UK, and he said we must now accept that we have come to a point where the concept of full vaccination has to be revisited. Yes.
So they're not satisfied with the booster. Something else has to happen now.
But you have to get this in this context. Let's do the application to small island states like ours.
Mm-hmm.
So where we have become so satisfied that if a person has taken the 2 shots of the vaccine, that person is fully vaccinated. There are countries in the world, the USA and the Israel and the Germany and the UK and the Australia, that are gone ahead on boosters. And the booster is what makes you fully vaccinated. So in essence, the question is, do we have any fully vaccinated persons in the region?
Well, I know that the booster, our prime minister, she's a queen of these injections, and every time she goes, she comes back with her handbag, I think, full of injections for us, here in Barbados. So we have more. I think we have more vaccines here, I've been told, than the population. And her thing, this is why she was telling us you can't even go to the hospital if you don't take these vaccines. So she has a lot here. So the booster is in Barbados, trust me. The booster is here.
Well, so in the case of Barbados, you may have the booster. And I'm not saying whether or not the booster is in St. Vincent. The point is, if the description of the fully vaccinated are those persons who have received the 2 doses of vaccine, and the global description of a fully vaccinated person is now changing, the question is, how many fully vaccinated people do we really have? And these amendments to the laws and the statutory rules and orders, are they considered now practically ineffective? Because when they speak of a fully vaccinated person, that person really and truly does not exist.
Does not exist. That's the thing.
So
Does not exist.
when do we ultimately arrive at the status of full vaccination? How many boosters?
God.
5, 6, 10, 15? Where does it end? When do you become fully vaccinated?
And the funny thing, is that they are so, well, especially ours here, the queen of vaccine in the region. She's so proud whenever she comes back with this. She always money and vaccine. She comes back to Barbados with a whole set of money, right? That she gets, because she goes with handout, and she comes back with a whole of. And last trip, she came back with $48 million. I don't know if the others got anything. I heard the one from it's Antigua. He was complaining that this was just a publicity show. Nothing happened for him, but it happened for her. She came back with $48 million and a whole set of vaccines. We even have vaccines on island for children. So this is what is happening here in our beautiful Caribbean. And I with St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I think you have somebody over there that he is beyond reasoning. He's beyond somebody you could reason with. And how many more years does he have in power?
Well, constitutionally, 4 more years.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, constitutionally 4 more years. The question that has to be asked and answered by all of us, not just in St. Vincent, but in Barbados and Trinidad and Guyana and St. Lucia, and you name the rest of the region, is this: where are we from a preparatory standpoint to address the mental health issues that are likely to come upon us as a consequence of the positions taken by our respective governments? Because I say to you, when a person says, well, I'm not going to subscribe myself or subject myself to this vaccine, I need early retirement. You either have to decide, can I give early retirement to 6,000 people at once.
Mm-hmm.
If I do, what are the economic implications for the country? Do we have the resources to meet our obligation to pay these people who have severed the working relationship with us and must now be compensated for their years of service?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that brings on a requirement through the National Insurance Services that more pressure would be brought to bear on the National Insurance Services. So, what are our actual realities as it regards our national insurance? What burdens are there for that? And if the state cannot meet its obligation financially to these workers who are saying, I'm parting ways with you, then what is going to happen in their heads
Right.
when they realize, look, I've taken a decision, I'm expecting to be compensated for my years of service. Now the state is not in a position to pass me my money so that I can live on, as I can invest as I please.
Wow.
You know what it reminds me of? The Clico debacle,
Yes.
where people invested their monies in
Money.
Clico, their life savings in Clico, only to find that there's nothing to fall back on.
Right. Right.
Years of service that workers have given to the respective governments is tantamount to their insurance in a government called Clico in the respective
Yes.
countries.
Yes.
Are
Yes.
we likely to face a mental health breakout as we saw across the region, consequential
Mm.
upon the Clico debacle?
Mm.
We need to look at these things very carefully because we seemingly have this very myopic or narrow tunnel vision view on where we are with them and not looking squarely to see that, look, we have other challenges.
These are some serious points that you're raising, serious points. And, boy, I tell you, I all I'm doing, because I can't believe that we are here right now. These are elected officials that we have elected our leaders, and our leaders have this, have just, they're not governing. They're not listening to the people. They are deciding that they are, there's somebody else, something else is going on.
Mhm.
Somebody else promised them something. It has to be, and they and so it no,
Look,
I'm being told though that he is allowing people an extra 10 days. Did you hear about that? That
I haven't heard about that. No, I'm off island still, but I
yes.
haven't heard anything about that.
Well, if
Um,
there's somebody from St. Vincent and the Grenadines watching, can you please confirm whether there's a 10-day extension? So instead of the 19th, which is in 2 days' time, that we'll have, all these hundreds of people on the breadline. Is it true that it's now the 29th?
whilst we
29th.
wait,
Everybody on here.
whilst we wait on somebody to answer that most important question,
Yes.
the deeper question would be, the deeper question, yes, Garfield, the deeper question would be, um, what are we doing different as a government and as a people
Mm-hmm.
to change the views and mindset of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines over 10 days?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? What are we doing differently?
Right.
24 hours in a day, 10 days, that's 240 hours. What are we going to do magnificently different in our
Mm-hmm.
education of our people over the 10 days to make more people come on? Or is
Mm-hmm.
it that you're hoping that the thoughts of the suffocation and the perils will have greater onset on the psyche of the people, and
Ah.
in that 10-day period, it would be more pressure being brought to bear on them, and they will then succumb to the vaccine. So it is a program of economic and psychological warfare, as
Yes.
opposed to allowing our people to become, as Bob Marley did say, to allow
Mm-hmm.
ourselves to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery,
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that none but ourselves can free our own minds.
Yes. Yes.
Nothing will change between, in my view. I can't see a massive differential in people who said, I am not there. What are you going to do
Mm.
different in 10 days? Is your public relation, education, and marketing going to be so humane
Right.
that it reaches the heart and soul of the people? I
Well,
doubt.
Christian Weatherford is saying no. November 19th is a verdict. Is that I thought they were getting 10 more days. I thought they were
Christian
getting 10 more days.
Weatherford. I think I know. I almost feel like I know all Vincentians. Weatherford might be somebody with Vincentian connection. Probably not somebody living in St. Vincent.
Wow. Wow.
Sorry,
Wow.
sorry, sorry, Christian Weatherford, but that's just me predicting that, or presuming that I think I know my country so well and I know all the
Mhm.
operational surnames.
Yes. Well, he's saying that November 19th is the verdict, and
But I haven't heard of this 10-day extension. Um,
mhm,
and in any event, I don't see the practicality of it. What I
mhm,
see as being practical is to say, look, we are a government that
mhm.
is consultative. We have been listening to the people. You say that when you were preparing yourself for assuming government, you said
Yes.
that you would introduce a brand new notion of consultative democracy.
No, I'm convinced that that gentleman there, the Mr. Ralph Gonzalez, I believe that. Oh boy, that's a tough one over there.
Well, Mercy, let me say this too, because I don't want, I mean, we've been having the discussions and we've made reference to Dr. Gonzalez as Prime Minister. But I don't want our viewers to, for one moment, begin to say, look, the issue is Ralph Gonzalez alone. Because it has to be Camila Gonzalez. It has to be Sabuto Caesar. It has to be Carlos James. It has to be
Mm,
Sinclair Prince. It has to be Curtis King. All of them in government are making collective decisions in cabinets.
mhm.
So I don't want us to laser beam the issue across to Rav Gonzalez, the elder statesman of the lot, but
Mhm.
all the others who are sitting there and agreeing that this is the way and must be the correct way. And I'm satisfied deep in my mind, that there are a number
Mhm.
of forces in that cabinet who don't necessarily share this approach,
Yes.
But the principle of collective responsibility seems to be the overwhelming principle at work.
And the thing is, I mean, we see where the policeman was just expressing his opinion, and he is basically, saying the policeman expressed an opinion is a disrespect of him, being disrespectful of him. He made it personal, and therefore insinuating that the persons in that community not respect the
I,
policeman because I was disrespected. Isn't
I
that so? What's the point
it's
here?
ridiculous. I saw somebody sent me a clipping. I don't know from which program, where the leader of government business in St. Vincent was identifying those from the opposition who he's aware has not taken the vaccine. Of course, I am a member of the parliament in the Senate, and I have not. And I've said it clearly. I am not embarrassed that I have not arrived at that place where I'm satisfied that taking the vaccination is what I want to do.
Hmm.
So for anybody to feel that by naming me is tantamount to shaming me, I'm telling you, get off the assignment. It is precious time wasted.
Isn't that something? They're trying different methods. But Senator Bruce, I
Yes.
just want to thank you for coming
Thank
on
you.
and for just allowing us to get open up a little window into what's happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I think this is so important, and people are watching, and they're learning a bit more. And we are going to ask you to continue to pray for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and read upon them, guys. Don't, sometimes we do these shows and then people forget. Go
Yeah.
back, and it's not just the volcano. They're not just the It's not the volcano. They have something else happening over there.
Well, you're
And
right. As we close, it's not just a volcano. What we need to examine, and I don't know if time will permit us, maybe sometime into the future, because we need to look now to see the extent to which these economic indicators are going to reap havoc in St. Vincent and the
and,
Grenadines,
and I and I
both the
love that.
volcano and COVID.
Yeah, and so what I think we need to organize, because it's not just for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but we should have a show to look at that period.
Across the region.
What will happen in terms of mental health as well. You know, so we need to look at some of these long-term effects.
Not just mental health, keep in the bottom the issue of an escalation in criminal activities.
And criminal act, exactly, because of the economic fallout.
That's right.
But thank you so much for coming,
Thank
and
you.
we are going to definitely be having you back. Thank you. This is very educational,
My
and
pleasure.
thank you. God bless you, sir. Have a good evening.
Take care. All the best to my viewers and listeners. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That is Senator, the Honorable Senator Israel Bruce, who was on with us now. Just now, and we still have a little piece more of the show to talk to you about getting off the grid, and how do you do that in terms of communication, and how do you prepare yourself to come off the grid, right? So we are going to get ready for Mr. Ruel Corniffe, and he's going to be coming to us from Jamaica. But just before he comes, I just want to share a little video with you, and this is me looking for my video, and I'm not seeing it. But let's see if I'm going to be able to find it. Yeah, it's actually right here. I just wanna play something for you from the Coalition of Concerned Citizens.
Barbados Concerned Citizens, bringing you the news and information from the grassroots. Our goal is to enlighten and educate the masses. To the news, behind the news, Barbados Concerned Citizens, your awareness is our mission. Barbados Concerned Citizens. Your awareness is our mission. Barbados Concerned Citizens.
Okay, so that is the Barbados Concerned Citizens. There are several, different. There are various groups in Barbados that and the part of the movement. I like to say it's one movement, but there are many groups part of this one movement. And so we want to thank God that we have people up there that are pushing and are resisting. And so that's why I showed you, they sent me their ad, and I want to help to promote what they're doing. I see Mr. Winston Clark on as well, and we just need to keep Winston in prayer. His wife, dealing with a situation there where she's in imprisoned, over doing nothing but speaking, and that's what's happening in Barbados, and so we are supportive of Winston, who goes to the beach. They go to the Browns Beach every Sunday, and Pelican Village. They go to Pelican Village on Saturday mornings at 9:30, and they do a walk. And that's also part of what is happening. The Concerned Citizens of Barbados, they are part of what is happening. Emmanuel, who has a show like mine, is part of what is happening in terms of the movement. But it's one movement, right? It's one movement. Different groups we're doing, but we're all part of one movement. And that is what is beautiful about it. Let me just bring in the studio Mr. Ruel. Ruel, can you unmute? And I know you have a whole lot for us today, Ruel. And thank you so much for being here. You were out in the farm today. How has that been?
Oh, good day to you, Marcia. Good day to all the viewers. Yeah, it was good this morning. I was out doing a bit of cleaning and planting some corn. So
yes.
That's what most of the morning session was. Yeah.
Yes, I'm trying with some corn. I have seven of them growing, and it's my first time, and I need to go on the line. I said I need to figure out how long does it take for me to reap this corn. I love corn. How long does it take normally?
Well, usually in 3 months, depending on the variety.
In 3 months.
Within 3 to 4 months, yes.
3 to 4 months I should be eating corn. I love corn, and so on. So you're involved in farming because you are living off the grid there in Hanover in Jamaica, right? I forgot which Hanover. Where in Jamaica? This is shameful. I'm asking where in Jamaica. I know it's in rural Jamaica. Hanover is rural Jamaica, and you are living off the grid there, right?
Yes, where we are about 25 minutes outside of Montego Bay. So we are just heading from Montego Bay into Negril. We are just would be the first little town you come onto when you're on your way to Negril. So we are not far from the city of Montego Bay there. So we are on the eastern side of Hanover.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And so today you are here to talk to us about communications off the grid, which I find is very fascinating. So I'm just going to let you roll. So go ahead,
Yes.
Ruel. Go ahead.
Okay. Before I go, can I share my screen? Can I share the slide?
Yes. Go right ahead.
Okay. So.
And so while he's sharing his screen, I'm going to ask you to continue to share. This is a practical part of the show. The practical part, because listen, they are intending, the intention is in 2030 we will own nothing and we will be happy. But I saw this post and I reposted. It says they will own nobody and they will be unhappy. This is a great resist. So this is part of the resistance. And you heard me talk about Gideon. When Gideon, when the Israelites were being terrorized by their enemies, by the Midianites and all these ites around them, and they would not allow the Israelites to have food. They would destroy their crops, etc., which in essence is what is happening. And we're hearing that is happening in Trinidad, where they're destroying the farmers' crops and all kinds of things to induce famine. And Gideon was, milling the corn in the wine press, and so Gideon was resisting. So here we are finding ways to resist, and we don't know what they have planned by 2030. So we need to make sure that, listen, we're gonna have to have communication. Can we communicate off the grid? How are we gonna communicate? Right? What if all of these systems are shut down? How are we going to communicate with each other? And so this is what Ruel Corniffe is here to talk to us about today. So Ruel, even if you can't share the screen, I know you know the information, so we're just going to let it flow.
Yes. You're not seeing the slides, right?
No, we're not seeing the slides, but I know you know the material, so just let it flow, Ruel.
All right. Yes, well, no problem. We're gonna share that presentation, as soon as if the group is willing, we can still, whenever you give me that contact. So what we'll do, we'll set up maybe on Google Drive. Oh, there it is now, yeah?
Yes. So Ruel seemed to be having some technical difficulty there. Ruel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, so you can go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay. So we're gonna last 2 weeks we're going right into Wi-Fi networks. We're looking at the different options for communications going off grid. But before I go, I was looking through the last show that you had sent me. I was going through and I see where some persons were saying they can block the radio signals and other things, and someone was making some comment about the UN. What I want to emphasize here is that going off grid, it doesn't mean like that we are going to go against certain protocols that are in place, because a lot of things that are in place benefit us. Yes, it benefits us, and even though we are up on this situation that faces us now, we are still a part of this society, and we shouldn't let this event causes us to be against certain things. That is something that makes things work for us. Yes, if it's not for these international agreements, then on technology wise, I'll talk about what I know is that you would have chaos. Yes, there have to be some protocols and rules and regulation in some areas. Yes, and as such, the international bodies play their part. You know, I see where someone was saying burn the UN. Well, it depends. It's the person's opinion, but we must know that the United Nations does a lot of good things. Yes, are you hearing me? You look like me loser. Hello.
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear.
Okay. I just missed your video there.
Yes.
Yes. So before I go on, I just want to know that jamming of the signals, yes, they can't jam your signal. If you're a legal operator, yes, you can legally take action. If someone intentionally interfere with your signal while you're legal, then you can take legal action against that person. Yes. So as long as you're in your country and you're doing what you have to do, if the technology allows you to operate off grid and to communicate, and if the government intentionally jam your signal when you know you are legally within the law, because there are laws and regulations govern telecommunications, you can take action against them. Yes, because there are both local and international laws that govern the radio frequencies and the use of different technologies that may be in the radio spectrum. So there are legal actions that one can take if your signal is intentionally jammed or being interfered with. Yes. Now, today we are going to look at the Wi-Fi system, and in particular, we're going to look at wireless local area networks. And the last time we talked about a wireless area network is that anyone can set up their wireless area network. It can also be a wired network. You know, you see cables running in some buildings. Yes. When you go to some offices, some persons have it in their house. But you can also have your wireless local area network. And it is quite different from a connection you would get from, say, Flow, and then they'll give you a wireless router that you connect to your internet lines that would come in the home, and then you have a wireless connection to your phone and maybe to a laptop inside. Now, your connection inside from that router to your phone is your wireless local network. That is your local side of the network, and that is what is called your LAN, or your local area network. Now, on the outside, on the side that connects that cable that goes into Flow or into Digicel or any service provider, that would be the WAN, or the wide area network. Yes, and that would be on their side. So if you have your home and you have a wireless router from a service provider, you buy one and put in your wireless router. Let me drop off again. I'm back on.
Yes, we're hearing you. We're hearing you.
You're hearing me. Yes, from time to time. My bandwidth is not that high, so from time to time I may drop.
Yes, it's very interesting. Keep going.
Yes. So on your local area network now, if you should get a technical person that would take a look into your router, if you buy a wireless router, if you look into that router, there are several applications, or there are several functionalities that they can configure within that router, so it can give you more functionality. Yes, because when you buy one of those small routers, there are many different features and functionalities or options within that will help you within your home. Yes, it also have a good firewall, so it gives you protection. It has encryption that would allow other persons maybe to use your wireless network. But some of those routers also have features to transfer files. Some of them have features to store information. And there are many other features those routers have. And sometimes most of the features is not being used. So a lot of you have the file transfer for protocols. You can save videos on them. You can use them to set up what is called a VPN. That's a virtual private network that when you're outside, like if you're traveling maybe in another country, you can have a straight connection straight into your router at home and access information. So all those features are loaded into your router. But
Right.
On a normal basis, if you don't need those functionalities, then it wouldn't be used. Yes, so that's your local area network. So looking at a wider context now, I know in Barbados they have persons who are a Wi-Fi service provider. Yeah, that you install. Yes, you can go and you can. They come to your home and they set up a little radio, and then you'd get some internet outside of flow. Right. But on their end, where their network comes in, they would either get their connection from Flow and they would resell it back, or from Digicel or whatever the service provider is. And then what they'll do is they'll also resell that service now back to communities. And they can also access the internet, and this is where the off-grid would come in now. There's a system they call VSAT. Yes? That you can also get internet from satellites. And VSAT is the very small aperture terminal. It's like a little satellite dish. And if you remember the days when they have satellite, when persons set up satellite on their home and that dish, well, VSAT you can also get internet via that service. Although you can get the TV via that internet, the service providers usually also provide internet service. The configuration of the antenna would be a little bit different, and then you'd have to get a special router inside your home. Now, service providers also use that service that they can resell. And also, those service providers also have the same service like for a home. So you can go, you can buy a home VSAT service, no connection to Digicel, no connection to Flow. You pay your own bills and you get your internet connection via satellite. Now, that is the application where when you're going off grid.
Right.
Because now you are connected now to a satellite service provider. And now you get that little hub at your house, and then what happens now, your signal would go up and down through a satellite, and then it would connect to a global hub that would distribute your signal from a specific location. Now there are several VSAT service providers around that's coming out of the US, all around the world. If you do a search for a VSAT service provider, you can contact them. They'll give you the costs for your router. They would connect you to someone who is within your country, maybe a local agent, or someone would come in from that service provider to install your equipment, and then you could be on the internet. You have your own internet. You can run any kind of service you want. It is a similar service that some service providers do. So instead of using Flow or Digicel or any other service provider, what they do, they either purchase or rent their own VSAT terminals. Now, a good example for VSAT is also the cruise ships that are traveling, the huge cruise ships. And you know, they have a lot of passengers on board.
Right.
So VSAT is what they use to get the internet on board ships.
Oh,
so if you look on those ships and you see those big round domes on the tops, right under those domes there are satellite dishes.
Right.
The domes are just there to protect the satellite because it's in the marine environment. So under that dome, it's usually fiberglass or some special material. Under those domes, there are satellite dishes that receive the signal, and those dishes, those antennas, they provide the internet services to the ship, just for the operations of the ship, for the passengers, for navigation and other purposes. So that is a good use for the satellite. They also have them on aircraft, the same system. So persons can have their homes, corporate companies use them. Some of the major service providers use them. Flow and Digicel also use them for backup communications. They are also heavily used for emergency and disaster communications. So what would happen is if you purchase a VSAT system, depending on the bandwidth, someone who is in country can look to set up their own network. So that the VSAT system would be a good backup, and then you now can use Wi-Fi or your wireless local area network to distribute it wherever you want it.
So you're saying we could purchase the VSAT system?
Yes, you can purchase your VSAT system. They have different systems. They have the commercial type. They have the one for corporate businesses. They have the one for home use. And right now, what happened right now, they are getting the prices are going down because what happened now, there's a new, the technology allow for a new launch of satellites that are going out of space now. And the satellites now are getting lower, so they are now operating is what is called in MEO or LEO. And I'll explain. MEO is medium elliptical orbit. Yes, and then you have low Earth orbit. So you have the low Earth orbit satellites. There are quite a number of them there now. If you should go in the evening now and you look up, you'll see a lot of them. So the satellites are getting lower and the technology is getting better, and such. The end devices and the service is getting more affordable now.
Okay.
So there's a lot of persons now, instead of especially persons that live in rural areas and off grid. One of their main options now is to going satellite. One of the main persons that is grabbing onto it now is Elon Musk. He has a new system. Yes, he has a new system out now they call Starlink.
Starlink?
Starlink. Starlink.
Right.
So, yes, and you have other service providers now going on using low Earth orbiting satellites now. The terminals are much smaller. Where you can carry even a terminal on personal, and where you can get satellite signal, because the satellites are lower, they are more efficient, they are more powerful, and the internet service now is comparing to when you have a cable connecting to your house, like through Flow. The satellite signals now are more stronger, and the type of technology they're using now is way advanced now. So satellite now is service now is just like maybe buying a service from Flow, depending on where you are, though. So
what about, as you said that, well, how about you're in Jamaica there, we're in the Caribbean here, how accessible is this service? How can we, how accessible is it to us?
Yeah, the service here in the Caribbean, we are in a very good footprint, because some of the major carriers are coming out of the United States. And as such, the footprint for certain services in the Caribbean is very good, very strong, and very efficient. So we can serve for service providers. I know service provider is part of the service that I work on too. We install VSATs here. It's part of what I do. And I have partners here that I work with that sells VSAT service.
And in Jamaica, what's the price in US dollars?
Not in Jamaica, but across the Caribbean. We even sell system to Barbados. I know they have carriers.
We have systems to Barbados. So what is the general price? I know that it might vary.
I couldn't tell you straight on now, but it wouldn't. It won't be long. If I talk to my partner now, it won't. I work with a partner that does this service, so it wouldn't be a problem to send you some information, and then you could get what it would cost you for a home system. For any system you'd need. Now, for the international carriers, and this is on the big side, these are the carriers like you'd comparing to Flow or Digicel. It's the Inmarsat, the International Maritime Satellite Corporation, Inmarsat. Yes, and you have Intelsat. Now, these are the two major worldwide carriers for satellite service.
Right.
You wouldn't buy the service directly from them, because they have different. They upsell the service to agents, and then the agents would set up a company, and then they would buy the bandwidth from them, and then they would distribute, and they would also they would also sell and service and maintain the hardware and software that would come with the system. Right. So Now, when you get that satellite system on your router, you can either set it up in your home, and if you are you doing a satellite, are you doing an internet business, that would connect now into what is called your NOC, or your Network Operation Center. And then from there, you would set up your small towers. If you're on a tall building, you'd set up your antennas, and then from there, you can distribute your wireless internet signals to homes, to businesses. So it's a business that anyone can go to. You set up your business, you can go into your wireless internet business. And it is a lucrative business now. You can sell other services with it also. So there are other things now regarding to Wi-Fi in more details. Wi-Fi operate in what is called the ISM band. ISM, right? India, Sierra, Mike. And ISM stand for, it's a, yeah, we just quote again. It's a band of frequencies that is by international arrangement. So within that band, you have devices that operate for scientific purposes, devices that operated for medical purposes, for industrial purposes. One of the, let me give you a good example. You see those little wireless things that you use in your car when you press that little wireless thing to set your car alarm?
Yes.
Yes, they operate in the ISM band. You're looking at the industrial side of the band. For wireless medical devices, pacemakers for hearts, any wireless medical devices you may see in hospitals that operate in the medical band. So you have the, and then for scientific purposes, you have frequencies that you use for animal tracking, for persons doing, for scientists doing special research, maybe out in the jungle, maybe in a special laboratory environment. There are special radio frequencies set aside for them to use those devices to carry out their works. Yes. Now Wi-Fi operates in the ISM band also, right? And it would more right. It would more operate in the industrial side of the band. So for Wi-Fi, we operate in two frequency bands. We have the 2.4 gigahertz. That's your Wi-Fi, and you also have the 5 gigahertz band. Right? These details are in the slides. You'll see more. So if you look on the frequency, there's the frequency spectrum, 2.4 gigahertz, and the 2.4 gigahertz band. It is close to where other devices may operate. One of the devices that operate close to that band is your microwave oven in your home. It is actually a wireless device, your microwave oven. So it uses the high power RF to cook the food. So the 2.4 gigahertz band is close to where you have the microwaves operate. Then you have the 5 gigahertz band. Now, the 5 gigahertz band, they use more for wireless internet, for special wireless link, for data communication for companies.
Right.
Also, you have other frequencies. You have the 900 megahertz band that they use a lot for in agriculture. They use those bands for other control purposes. For the electric companies use it a lot to control different, especially the power companies, to control the power plants and many other uses they have. So there are different frequencies within the ISM band. And in this slide, there's a chart that shows you the different frequencies and the different uses for those frequencies within the ISM band. So more technical, I don't want to get too technical with Wi-Fi.
We only have a few minutes left because, as I was saying to you, this is something that we are planning to our viewers, those who have stayed with us.
Now what happened? These frequencies now it operate under a certain standard. So all these frequencies, the ISM band, it's standardized, and it is standardized under an organization called IEEE. Letter I, echo, echo, echo. It's the, and if you look at the IEEE, that is the organization, and that is the standard. It's an electrical standard organization. I think it's the International Electronic electrical and electronic engineers, the IEEE, and that's the organization that's the standard that the Wi-Fi and also the ISM band fall under, and it comes under a number, that standard number. It's the 802.11. So that's the Wi-Fi standard, 802.11 standard. Yes. So that is on a more technical level. So if you look up, you'd see some of those general information. Maybe you don't know what it means, but now those standards come now, it get more technical as it goes to the type of modulation you use, the strength of the signal, the type of encryption you use on the signal, and a lot of other technical stuff that these readers wouldn't understand. You'd have to be an engineer to understand. But that is a standard that you would come under, and basically that's it to Wi-Fi.
Yes.
I don't want to go too under the lid too heavy.
Yeah. What we will have to do with Ruel, we have to give it as we're doing in bite size, because I'm writing so much notes. I didn't know about the VSAT and that system that is on the, because you go on the cruise and you say, oh, well, there's Wi-Fi on the cruise, or you might take a bus. Like I took a bus in Canada, going, for traveling for hours, and I'm on Wi-Fi talking to people in Barbados and so on, and realizing that, that's one way through Visa that I could come off the grid. And it's good to know that is available in Barbados. So guys, I'm going to put my number here, and I'm going to put a WhatsApp number, and you can WhatsApp this number for more information. And because what we're going to do is that we're going to do a workshop. We're going to do a workshop with Ruel and his entire team. As you can tell, it's very technical. But I think it's very important. We talk a lot, Ruel, about food, growing food off the grid, and preparing by the way of food. But we have to think about communication as well. And that is what we're using to do. So I want to thank you so much for coming on today and for educating us. I got a whole set of notes here that I'm going to. The last show I went up and I was researching online, and I'm going to research these things again and share with others. So thank you, Ruel Corniffe, who is a farmer and also an engineer. We could tell with all of these technical terminologies here going on. And so we're very grateful for Ruel for being here. And thank you to all of our viewers who've stayed on with us, Marvin Valentine, Tokens More, everybody, Christian Weatherwood, Garfield Isle, and to our wonderful guests who were on before with us, Umar Abdullah, and the Honorable Senator Israel Bruce from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Next week, Wednesday, we are going to have in the studio, we're going to have with us some others from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Hopefully, we're going to hopefully have Miss Anissa Baptiste. Mrs. Anissa Baptiste will be in, along with possibly some others. I haven't gotten an okay from them, a confirmation from them as yet, so I don't want to say what, say that they're on and they're not going to be on. But we're going to deal with this issue in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because this is very dire at the moment, and so we are going to put our attention there. Caribbean, we're going to band around the Vinces, right? SVG on next Wednesday. All right, so set your clock with 1 p.m. AST that we're on. This video, we're going to edit it and into 3 parts and send it out. All right, so you can check my Facebook page and you will see it in 3 parts. We're going to take little sound bites out of it as well. But thank you all for joining us. Thank you for joining, watching the Marcia Week Show. And I talked about Wednesday, but we're going to be on Saturday as well. Saturday, we're going to be on, and more than likely, we're going to be talking about this republic that's supposed to be happening in Barbados, a republic where they're claiming in our republic there is no God. So we want to talk about that and to really understand what is going on, because the citizens in Barbados, we don't know what kind of republic it is that we are going to have. We're just hearing from some of the advisors that it will be a republic without God. So we want to talk about that on Saturday. Yeah. Saturday, we need to delve into that very, very, very serious topic. So once again, bye-bye to everybody who's watching and who stayed with us. It's a long one today, but you hung on, right? So thank you so much. See you Saturday at 11 a.m. AST, okay? 11 a.m. AST, and God bless you. Bye-bye.